3 blood-curdling sock moments from Chucky's COP28 speech that may just curl your toes. Today on Makayo Messenger. You may remember some 8 months ago or so, the Lord revealed a whole new bevy of information related to Chucky and the biblical Antichrist. A small portion of that may have been previously referenced, but the overwhelming lion's share of it was all brand new information related to Chucky's coronation and more. And if you haven't already, I hope you will take a moment to really go through this playlist of almost 100 videos where we turn over virtually every stone in relation to Chucky being the biblical Antichrist. We're not claiming that he is, but so far no one else holds a candle to this man, and he's doing quite the job of fulfilling many of the prophecies therein. So we hope you will take some time to consider this playlist and learn more about the Chuckster. If you value this content and what the Lord provides through this ministry, please consider becoming a regular supporter of this channel and ministry through the links in the description. Thank you so much for your support. Please also subscribe to this channel and share these videos with everyone you know. Thank you so much. So Chuckster the Huckster, the Royal Mumbler, is back yet again, sharing what seemed to be innocuous, glittering generalities of nothingness, and yet it couldn't be farther from the truth. Au contraire, mon frère. Today we'll be looking at 3 scintillating sock moments from Chucky's COP28 speech. Chucky opens up his speech giving stats that no one can verify, only to be used against you, of course. Things like how much carbon is in the air and how hot the temperature is, and, you know, all these kinds of unverifiable. I mean, certainly somebody can verify that out there, but it's not you or I, so they can basically say whatever they want and use that against you as a tool to suppress you and oppress you and take away everything you own and take away your livelihood and everything else. He then proceeds to begin his first sock moment. Which are his confessions. You know, one thing we know about these psychotic lunatics is they love to confess their crimes openly to you. It's like somehow they're appeasing their conscience, something of that nature, but they're confessing their crimes. So number one sock moment is confessing their crimes. So some of the confessions include confessing to all the weather of the Mata of the vacation and, you know, saying things like it's the hottest summer on record, but of course thanks to their cam of the trails and the artificial of the sun and reflectors and, you know, lasers that fry places like and other exciting things like that. So one of his exact quotes of his confession was, I mean, it's inconceivable that they would just confess it so openly, and yet I think they just laugh later that they actually can get away with it. But here's a direct quote of one of his confessions. He says, "We are carrying out a vast, frightening experiment of changing every ecological condition all at once at a pace that outstrips nature's ability to cope." You can hear the sinister laughter in the background. So it's even kind of a pun they throw in there. Ability to cope. Get it? C-O-P, cope. You know, they throw an E on, of course, at the end. But he literally admits that they are carrying out a vast, frightening experiment of changing every ecological condition all at once at a pace that even nature can't keep up with. We're outdoing the earth. So he's telling you right up front that they are using weather of the Mata of the vacation to change, you know, to make earthquakes happen and, you know, floods and Sioux of the Namis and, I mean, you name it, tornadoes, hurricanes, everything. It's all happening, and it's all because of them, because of their frightening experiment of changing every ecological condition all at once at a pace that outstrips nature's ability to cope. You know, it's very similar to when Mr. B confessed that we have the biggest VOTER fraud organization in history. So he actually confessed it quite openly there. You can go find that video. You'll have to look at a place like Rum of the Bull to find that video, but it's out there where he just openly confesses that yes, we did commit fraud, and we have the largest organization. We're quite proud of it. So Chucky's doing the same thing here. He's just openly confessing that they are carrying out a vast, frightening experiment of changing every ecological condition all at once at a pace that outstrips nature's ability to cope. And he talks within there. He talks about a zero carbon future, which basically means no more humans, because you can't have zero carbon without humans since we are carbon-based life forms. So they're basically telling you up front, yes, we're going to get rid of you. And, it kind of reminds me of the movie The Time Machine, or the story by H.G. Wells, The Time Machine, of the Morlocks who live underground and they operate the machines while the elites live on the surface. And a similar story is told in Metropolis, which was an old movie from 1926, where they actually had a similar thing where the workers lived underground and the rich elite live up top. So they've been planning this kind of concept for quite some time, only now they don't need the humans as much because they have AI and robots to take care of things, so they can eliminate most human beings, and that's what they're planning on doing. So their goal is to reach a nature positive, which equals a human negative. His next quote of confession, he says, and I quote, "Our choice now is a starker and darker one." So he's telling you we're going to get starker and darker. How dangerous are we actually prepared to make our world? So he's telling you up front that he wants to make the world dangerous. In fact, he's saying, how dangerous are we prepared to make our world? Like, that's what we're doing. We're going to make our world dangerous, and it's going to be starker and darker. Dealing with this is a job for us all. Right, so you're going to have to do your part in making the world starker and darker and more dangerous. And he expects you to buck up, man. And one more quote along these lines. He says, how can our multilateral organizations, which were established at a different time for different challenges, be strengthened for the crisis we face? So basically, they're recalibrating all the organizations like the UN and the U to the N and the W to the E to the F, or all these other organizations that, the G summits and our nations and everything else, all to focus on this one goal of making the world starker, darker, more dangerous, and to carry out this vast, frightening experiment of changing our ecological condition all at once at a pace that outstrips nature's ability to cope. So these are the things that are being planned. So that's sock moment number one. Woo-hoo-hoo, sock moment. Sock moment number two is we intend to steal your money and everything else that you own. So then he goes on to explain, and I quote, with the private sector firmly at the table, that's you and I, we're the private sector, we're the citizens, the people, and a better, fairer international financial system, i.e. a one world currency that you have no choice in, and a currency that basically takes away all your money and turns it into, chips in the sky, kind of like the casino does, right? They just take all your money away and they shut out all the lights. There's no clocks, so that you just end up, having to put a second mortgage on your home to try to pay your gambling debt. That's basically what they're doing with our financial system. They're putting us all into this monetary system where you don't know what you're spending. It's just pie in the sky, and you're going to have credits. And once you use up your credits, you can't spend any more today. I'm sorry, you've used up all your carbon credits. No more for you. So that's what he calls a better, fairer international financial system, combined with the innovative use of risk reduction tools. Okay, now pay attention to this. Combined with the innovative use of risk reduction tools like first loss risk guarantees. Now, what are first loss risk guarantees? Well, basically, this is where the insurance company doesn't have to pay you the full value of, say, your home or whatever it is that you're insuring. So this is a way that they can use a laser from the sky to fry your house, and then when you go to collect on it, you won't receive what it's worth, and therefore you will be homeless and have to live in their 15-minute of the city grids, and will no longer have your own freedom. And he says because of these kind of risk loss guarantees, we could mobilize trillions of dollars. Exactly, because the insurance companies don't have to pay out anybody for their insurance anymore. And they can mobilize $4.5 to $5 trillion a year. So when he talked about trillions at his disposal, he had no intention of using his own trillions for that. He's going to use your trillions for that. Isn't that nice? To drive the transformation we need. So he feels we need a transformation into a frightening experiment, a starker, darker, dangerous world. His next quote on this is he wants to ensure that finance flows. Okay, now pay attention to this again. This is your money we're talking about, of the private sector, that your finances, your money, It says, ensure that finance flows to those developments most essential to a sustainable future. So if they don't deem you to be essential to a sustainable future, then your money's gone. And if what you're putting your money into is not what they deem to be essential to a sustainable future, are you essential? Are you an essential worker? Are you essential to the future? Well, to your future, but not theirs, right? And away from practices that make our world more dangerous across every industry in every part of the world. So if they deem what you're putting your money into as being quote unquote dangerous to the world and the industries in the world, well, then I'm sorry, you're going to lose that finance and it's going to flow over to what they want it to flow to. They will define you as dangerous. So that's sock moment number 2. And sock moment number 3 is, we own you. That's right. You are no longer your own person. You belong to them. And more specifically, you belong to the world. You belong to the earth. He says, and I quote, how can those which have a perverse impact be eliminated with all due speed? So first they plan on getting rid of as many of us as possible. In fact, because in their opinion, you have a perverse impact on the world. And so how can you be eliminated as quickly as possible? That's the first goal. Then they want to work together to safeguard our precious planet. Now, safeguard from who? Safeguard from you. So they're going to get rid of you. And if you remember in Daniel, it talks about serving the God of fortresses. The God of fortresses. It says, but in their place, he shall honor a God of fortresses, and a God which his fathers did not know, he shall honor with gold and silver, with precious stones and pleasant things. Basically, he's going to take all your gold and silver, all your money, to honor this precious planet, this God of fortresses, that he says we have to safeguard our precious planet. In other words, we have to build a fortress around this world and protect it from people like you who are having a perverse impact. You need to be eliminated with all due speed. You're making things dangerous. They define you as dangerous. And thirdly, his quote is, harmony with nature must be maintained. So now nature is greater than you. Nature is more important than you. He says, the earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth. We know that in Genesis 1, God said, let us make man in our own image and our own likeness, so that they may rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, over the livestock, and over all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created man in his own image. Then he tells them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. So God calls us to rule over this world, not for the world to rule over us. And of course, the earth does not belong to us, but it belongs to God. In Psalm 24, it says, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. For he founded it on the seas and established it on the waters. So the earth belongs to the Lord, and he's put us in charge of everything, not the other way around. We do not belong to the earth. We belong to God. Amen. And we are bought at a price by God to serve him and serve him only. We will not bow down to Mother Nature. We will not bow down to Gaia, earth. We will not worship the earth, but we will worship the Lord, for that is who we belong to. Amen. Amen. This has been 3 amazing sock moments from the Chuckster. And be sure to subscribe here and at Makayo Ministries and Makayo Music, and join us in the fellowship for more Bible study, prayer time, discipleship training, and more. We look forward to seeing you there, and may God bless you.